surgeries. Well, joining us now to discuss this is Florida Congressman Greg Steube. Congressman, welcome back to the show. All right, so we have President Biden there saying that he doesn't think states should have the right to regulate sex change surgeries or treatments, and he denounced Republican states like yours that have passed laws trying to ban or limit sex change surgeries and transition treatments. Do you see this as a state's issue? Is this where the fight should be?
It absolutely is a state's issue, and I encourage states to pass laws to protect our children from the sexualization that is happening in the school system, that this left-wing administration, a democratically run Congress and Senate is trying to force on American parents and American children in schools. I absolutely think this is a state issue. This is not a federal issue. In fact, I don't even think that the federal Department of Education should be involved in educating our children. That is 100% an issue for the states. And would be a mistake for us to continue to allow the Department of Education to determine what is best for those states, because the states have that right under their constitutional powers.
So you and fellow House Republicans have introduced the Stop the Sexualization Children Act bill. What does this bill do? I mean, what specifically are you looking for?
It's similar to what we did here in the great state of Florida, but it doesn't allow for sexual content to be discussed or taught to any child under the age of 10. That should be a discussion between them and their parents. I certainly would support something at a little higher age than that, but that was a number that came down at 10 years old based on research that we shouldn't be talking about the sexualization of children and gender identity and transgenderism and all of this that is being forced upon our children. And it would be at the federal level saying that you can't teach this under the age of 10.
It seems pretty reasonable, 10 years old, that we shouldn't be talking to our kids about that at that age. I do want to switch gears with you, Congressman, to Florida and the recovery from Hurricane Ian. It's been nearly a month now since the storm ripped through your state, and your district was especially hit hard. How are your constituents doing? How are they dealing with recovery?
Well, we are resilient people here in Southwest Florida and certainly are used to hurricanes, but nothing like this hurricane. In some places, I've been hearing that the wind was showing 170, almost 200 miles an hour with the wind gusts. Thankfully, everybody that we can get power to in my district has power. But I was in Englewood a few days ago on the Charlotte side of Englewood, and there's still tarps on every single roof. It's going to be a very long time before we recover and fix a lot of the things and the damage that has been done. But I tell you, the tip of the spear has been those local governments in our counties and a lot of volunteer organizations from all across the country that have come here to the great state of Florida in this district to help us in this time of need. You still can't drive around. I was driving around today in my district. You can't drive around and not see power trucks still driving around, disaster relief vehicles still driving around. There's still an incredible amount of cleanup that is going to need to happen in this district, but thankfully people have communications, they have internet, and they have power, and they can start to rebuild their lives.
You know, just seeing the recovery, as you described, I mean, seeing those pictures, how horrific it was, so much progress has been made. But if you're watching the mainstream media, you probably really wouldn't notice because they've kind of stopped covering it altogether. Do you think that there's been hesitation because they don't want to give Governor DeSantis credit for such a great effort?
Well, or any of us here in this area. This is a very conservative area of the state of Florida, and you certainly want to talk about things that are going to further their mainstream media political ideology and not the pain and suffering that's still going on in this district. We had just this past weekend people returning. They rebuilt the causeway to Sanibel, which is just south of my district, but we had people from my church that went down there. I mean, people are just now returning to their homes that have been destroyed. So it's certainly still an issue that is pressing in this part of the state and should still be talked about in recovery efforts. And I tell you, I'm leading the disaster supplemental in Congress, and we're going to be asking Congress specifically focused on Hurricane Ian disaster supplemental, and hopefully the Democrats aren't going to put in all of these other Green New Deal things that they like to try to shove in. And if they do, and we take the House back, I've already talked to Leader McCarthy about let's just wait till January, do a clean supplemental reauthorization for this disaster supplemental just based on Hurricane Ian.
We'll have to keep an eye on that. Congressman Greg Steube, good to see you this evening.
Good to see you.